The Biz Launch Academy is officially open. Today is May the 20-something. 28th. It's May the 28th. Welcome to May, almost June. If you're sick of that same damn biz you've been doing for the last 5 years, or you got this really cool idea, or you just have a really good knowledge base, we're going to teach you how to monetize that. From your concept to actually getting customers. No bullshit. Like actually getting people to pay you for what you know. That's what we're here to help with. Go to bizlaunchacademy.co. That's bizlaunchacademy.co to get full details. Today on the podcast, we've got Jinny Oh, the CEO and founder of Wandr. By far, one of the coolest companies and people we've talked to. She travels all over the world.
I think she's got an ideal job or kind of like business concept for a lot of people.
So she has 30 employees. They all work remote, and they just communicate all remotely through Slack and different online tools that they can do and put all their collaborations in one spot.
Right, and she was in LA. She was in LA doing a podcast for a day. Then she was going to San Francisco for like an hour.
And then she's in Belize, and I saw a post she put recently. She was in LA for 28 days. That's the longest she's been anywhere over the last month. That's the longest she's been anywhere over the last year. Like you said, she's in San Francisco, Belize, Bali. She's all over the place, still running a business and communicating with her employees throughout. Really fun conversation. We hope that you get some inspo from this one, and maybe you start doing this as well. We hope you enjoy. Jinny, what is good? Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me here.
I don't know, it was like last week sometime. I saw you're in LA because you're everywhere. Happened to look at your story, and you were in, it might have been Marina. Where were you at this week? Somewhere in LA.
Somewhere in LA. Yeah, LA's a big city.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, do you want to do a podcast? How long are you here for? And you were like, I got Monday morning or Tuesday afternoon or something like that, you said. And I was like, all right, let me text Timmy, figure out what we could do. And we made it happen. Here we are. Memorial Day at 11 a.m.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or as you're listening, Tuesday evening.
Yeah. Post-Memorial. Hope you had a great Memorial weekend.
Yeah, right? Tell us a little bit about what you do, because you're everywhere.
So I am the founder of Wandr. We're a product strategy and user experience design firm. We work 100% remotely, so I get to travel around the world, see some new places, meet with new people, and work with our clients all over.
Yeah, I see you're, like I said, everywhere. Like you're in LA, you said you're going up north for 4 days?
I'm going to San Francisco for 1 day, or less than 1 day, and then I'm flying out to Belize afterwards.
To Belize.
Yeah.
And then you said you're back to LA in a couple weeks, and then you're...
No, actually, I'm going, after Belize, I'm going to New Mexico, and then to LA, and then after LA, going to Miami, back to San Francisco, and then to Chile.
Jeez.
And are these working with like people you work with or clients, or just for fun?
It's a mix. So this is actually the first quarter where I'm doing a little bit more personal travel. So last quarter was just insane, going to conference after conference, meeting with clients and meeting with team. This quarter, I'm trying to take it down a little bit, meet with some friends, do some personal travel, and slow it down. Yeah.
Gotcha. So and then in your company, it's all design based?
It's all design,
okay.
yeah. So
how'd you get into that?
We do a little bit of development, but we try to specialize and focus on user experience design.
Gotcha.
I got into it kind of by accident, to be honest. Like all good things, everything was pretty organic. So I started out having my own tech startup. And of course, like any startup, it failed.
What was that one?
I was in fintech.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I just wanted to travel at that point. I was like, fuck it. Like, obviously this was not meant for me, but I want to see the world. How do I pay for that? Well, I can pick up some freelancing, started doing some content writing, a little bit of marketing and website design, started consulting for startups. And then the startups started getting bigger and the projects started getting bigger. And I was like, oh shit, I need to hire other people to help me. And then so it was, me plus a bunch of freelancers, and then a couple years of that, and started bringing those freelancers in full time under the name of Wandr, and then here we are today. So
how many people work with you then?
We're right around 20-ish full time, and then plus or minus like a few other contractors that we work with. Wow. So I think in total like right around 30 people.
Nice.
Yeah.
And where is everybody around the world?
So a big chunk of our people are here in Los Angeles, although we don't have an office. And then we've got a couple people out in the Bay Area, Miami, Portland. We have some international people as well, and then travelers like myself as well.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's awesome.
That is cool.
We've struggled with having people work remotely.
Yeah.
How are you able to do that with 30 people?
It's hard, especially initially when we didn't have any processes. It was just like, what happens if you're in a different time zone? And we started to learn pretty quickly about different ways that we work really well together, not only within our team, but like how do we also coordinate with our clients as well.
Yeah.
So initially what we did was, doesn't matter what time zone you're in, between 9 a.m. to noon Pacific time, Monday to Thursday, you are online. I don't care if it's 3 a.m. You chose to travel, so you better be online.
That's cool. Yeah.
Now we're a little bit more careful about where we do our hiring. So we make sure that they're at least within, 3-hour time difference of Los Angeles, of Pacific time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So no East Coast.
No, we do. So
3 hours.
Yeah,
3 hours. Dumbass. Jesus. What an idiot.
It's the holidays.
I lived in that time zone.
It's the holidays.
I'm like 3 hours? What?
So what technology and platforms do you guys use to communicate then?
So Slack. Yeah. Okay. Slack is big. Zoom. And then, real-time board for whiteboarding sessions. So those are our 3 main platforms.
Do you know that one? I don't know.
I don't know that one, actually.
No.
It's basically like an online whiteboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can put sticky notes. You can like draw on it. You can
cool.
put links on it.
What's it called again?
The real-time board.
The real-time
board.
Yeah.
And that integrates with Slack, I'd imagine?
Yeah.
Or? Okay.
Yeah. We used to be, we had a tech startup. A couple tech startups.
Fit Tech.
Fit Tech. Okay.
Yeah, explain it to me. He can sort of speak the language. He can't like code.
No, I can't code.
But I'm in another planet when it comes to this.
Yeah, it was like 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Right when we moved out here. So we started a company that was geared towards high school athletes. Then we switched that up and got more in like the training aspect of it. Moved to Santa Monica. Is more like online follow people's workouts type routines. And this is like 4 or 5 years ago, so no one was doing anything like this.
It's ahead of its time.
So maybe
revolution.
Yeah, so basically we were bringing athlete influencers, do their workouts. People could mirror their workouts, collect different things, and that was the basic premise of it, right?
Yeah. But it was like,
that was the biggest headache was tech.
Yeah.
For sure,
part of it,
because again, we couldn't do it ourselves,
right?
So we could talk fitness and speak to the trainers and get our people who are creating the actual workouts, but when you talk in tech and all that back end stuff, he can speak it.
Yeah.
I didn't know shit about shit. But
yeah. And that's a lot of the work that we do is, we work with founders that are very specialized in their industry and what they do. And then we bring the expertise of, how do you create a product, but minimize the risk as much as possible.
Yeah.
And a lot of the biggest mistakes that we've seen is, there are founders with this big vision and they're like, oh, we want to build the entire platform, but they don't realize if you want to build the entire platform, you're going to be stuck in development for over a year.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you start with something small and that's manageable? I mean, you're going to be doing a lot more manual work, but at least it's one step towards building that technology.
Yeah.
Go out to the market, test it.
Just say it's beta.
Exactly. It's
and
beta.
And everyone understands.
Right.
Yeah.
But people have different understanding of what that beta means.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's what we work with founders on, trying to like flush out and minimize their risk as much as possible.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We could have used you 5 years ago.
Yeah. No, definitely.
I could have used me 5 years ago too.
Anything would have helped. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Tim was pretty good with this stuff, but like we had a couple people we brought on. One guy was really good, our last guy before we switched over to what we're doing now, video marketing. But we had some guys in between that just weren't.
I mean, working with developers, it's
hard.
How do you convince a guy to come, hey, work for peanuts when you got like Google paying them $500,000 or like stuff like that? It's tough.
Right.
And you have to speak their language and get them excited about it. And it was sports and fitness, which a lot of developers, there's a small fraction of people who are actually interested in that. So we had to find those handful of people.
We had some interesting times.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah.
So on all your travels you've done, what do you think's been the coolest experience? Not like work experience. Of course, I'm sure you've seen like the craziest cool stuff, but
I would say in terms of a mix of work and personal, like Bali has a special place in my heart.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because when people ask me like, oh, should I go to Bali? And I'll always ask them like, what's your purpose of going? If it's for tourism, don't go because it's really, really touristy. But if you have a purpose and you want to meet other digital nomads and you're going through a transition of your life, then hell yeah, like Bali's pretty freaking awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why do you think that happens there?
I think it's because there's a community there where people who are going through a transition in their lives come and they are just so supportive of each other. People come with a project in mind, or they're like, you know, I'm at a chapter in my life where I just need to do something that's different. And so you have a very eclectic group, a very eclectic community that just come and gather, and it's just like a no judgment. You just come and learn and you grow together.
Yeah.
So I try to go once a year. So this time around, or I went last November and December. And for me, my purpose was I want to get some surfing done. And I also want to figure out what I want to do for 2019, because 2018 was a rough year. So for me, it was just like, okay, I need some time off. I need to like regroup my thoughts and then figure out how I'm going to propel forward for the new year.
Oh, was it rough? How was last year?
Last year we did a lot of experimenting. So we were trying to figure out how to grow in different ways. So we've never done outbound marketing, for instance. And so we were doing all sorts of experiments, like throwing money left and right on marketing and hiring. That was an experience too. So it was just a big roller coaster ride of new experiences. Because what I was used to is, here's a client, here's what they need, let's go do the production work. And then I went from that to let's go do marketing, which I was not used to. Let's go hire a bunch of people, which I also wasn't that used to either. And then I also was going through some personal stuff as well, where I just felt really lost, and I felt like I kind of lost a little bit of purpose. I was also joining a lot of different communities at the time that, you know, I wanted to be a part of these different entrepreneurship communities, but I felt like I had a horrible sense of the imposter syndrome, because I saw, you know, people in those communities who are doing 10, 20 plus $1 million in revenue, and, you know, they've been in business for many, many years. And here I am just like, oh my God, I'm like such a baby compared to everybody. Like, I don't belong here, you know? So there's a lot of mental challenges that I was going through.
And how do you get over that shit?
Go to Bali.
Go to Bali.
Go to Bali. You know, I think it just, with anything, it just comes with practice. Like, you go to more of these events and then you realize, you know, that you're really not that different from everybody else. Like, it's just all in your head. Like, you're there because you belong there, not because you're there by luck, you know? And it's coming, getting over that mindset and actually being confident in what you do and who you are.
I feel like we talk about that all the damn time on here. Like, with everyone who comes in, they're like, you know, I didn't think I could be this, and then I was, and then I was like, oh yeah, that person's like me. We're the same. They just happen to do it first or whatever, you know, or they're a couple years ahead of where I was, or months or whatever. You can do that shit. Yeah,
and I remembered when I was freelancing for some of these larger agencies here in Los Angeles, and they were charging, you know, their enterprise clients like $28,000 a week. And I'm like, holy shit, like they must be like doing some crazy magic work or something. And when they contracted me and they're like, oh, you're leading the project. And I'm just thinking like, I'm doing the same thing for you guys as I am doing for my own company, except we're just charging really a lot less. So I'm doing the same thing. So like, you know, it's just a mindset. Like I can charge more because it's the same work. It's the same production. So
that was tough for us at first when we started doing video stuff. And it was like, we don't know what to charge. Like we want to charge 10 million every project, you know, but it's like, should we charge like $110? Like, like obviously we charge more than that, but it was like, where's that range where it's like, it's not too low, but also we're new. How do we get in to be able to get this gig and show them we do a good job, and then hopefully be able to charge more and you know, take it to other people.
And you got to know your value too, because if you charge too little, people are going to see you as like, oh, you're just starting out. So there's that like fine line between being too cheap and too expensive.
Sure. And we've talked to like big brands before, and we're like, oh, okay, we need to like just to show them that we're at whatever level, we need to have our number at X, bottom X.
Yeah.
All right, now
Yeah.
what does this cost for on our end?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
There was this one pitch that we did, and it was an agency, a big agency, and they're like, send us a quote for this, like this and that. It was like a 2-day project or something like that.
This was a nothing project.
It was a nothing project for them, but we're like
effort-wise.
It was a good big brand, and we're like, I don't know, let's bump it up a little bit. And so we bumped it up because we thought, we're gonna put some extra resources in it. And they're like, why are you so cheap? And we're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
this is like,
Yeah.
this is a good chunk of a project here. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Because she's seen our work too, and
Right.
she's like, I didn't realize you guys were that low.
Yeah, but we know, I don't know how much you know about like what we do, but like there's what we can do with 2-3 people. Most people have like 11 people,
Yeah.
Right.
and that
Right.
person's just sitting there, and that person's going to make sure everyone has lunch,
Yeah.
and this person's going to
Yeah.
make sure the light is tilted instead of having somebody walk 3 feet to
Right.
tilt it.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much wasted money and
Yeah.
time.
And that was actually my response. I was like, we're efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. What do you want to not be efficient?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. But
And
these big brands do expect the higher price points.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, sure, we can add some zeros to that if you like.
Yeah, I mean,
just like you were.
great.
Like, yeah, I mean,
We've also been there's been times where we're like, oh shit, we need to have like more people here because they're gonna be there, and we want them to feel bigger than it is.
Yeah.
Even though we know you don't need to have
Yeah.
that, so like let's pay somebody else X number of dollars just to be there, like as a helper,
Right.
just to have the look and the vibe of like this is
Yeah.
what everyone else is. At the same time, when people accept like one of our pitches, we're like, shit, we should have charged double, or like
Yeah.
whatever. Like, damn, we could have got that. We should have
Yeah.
went up.
And what's funny is that these bigger brands, like, you put in the same amount of work and they're just like, oh my God, you're so efficient.
right?
And
Yeah.
this is great.
Yeah.
You do the same type of work for startups and they're like, this is such a waste
and they're
of money.
on you every
It's
second.
like-
Yeah.
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 They're
Totally.
pinging you at midnight. They're
Totally.
like,
Yeah.
I need this at 6 a.m.
Yep. But you get it too. It's like when it's your money
Yeah.
and you're not bringing in 100 million a
Right.
year or
Right.
whatever that number is. Like you're like, shit. Like that's how we were. We've had a couple employees, people that have worked for us. And it's like when they're not doing something they should be doing and it's on our dime, you're like, son of a bitch. Like, let's go. This needs to be done. Just like
Right.
with a startup,
Yeah.
this is their baby.
Right.
They got to be walking you through step by step
Yeah.
almost. It's a different world when you're a startup to
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
other shit.
Do you ever travel with your employees? Or-
Yeah, we
You
do.
do?
Yeah, we'll do retreats.
Oh,
So
cool.
the leadership team, we try to meet as frequently as possible. So now we went from meeting each other twice a year to now meeting each other every 45 days. Yeah. And then with the
How
entire
many people is that?
just the 3.
Okay.
Yeah. And then with the rest of the team, we'll still try to meet up like twice a year or so.
That's
As like a
cool.
whole team?
Yeah.
But you guys do like Zoom or Skype and FaceTime weekly?
Yeah, so every day we'll
Oh,
do
every
video
day.
calls. Yeah, so
Every
anytime.
single day.
Well, so we'll do like as needed.
Sure,
So
sure.
me and the leadership team will usually talk like every single day, and then the production team they'll like do video calls within each other's team.
So how many? Okay, so you have your team. How many projects are you? I don't know if you want to say or not, but like projects spread out, like different clients are you working with?
I want to say we're working on like 10-ish projects.
Okay.
Which is funny because like a year ago we were juggling about 20 to 30 a month.
Wow.
Now it's less clients,
Yeah.
bigger projects.
Yeah.
Which is
Sure.
much nicer.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we kind of transitioned
Yeah.
from when we started. Excuse me. You were talking about doing the podcast, your podcast.
Yeah.
You did it, or you were starting to do it? You did it?
I was starting to do it, so I recorded the promo, which actually it turned out really nice.
Okay.
So I recorded the promo. I recorded the first 6 episodes all in person. This was when I was in Bali.
Yeah.
And the podcast is about other people who are starting and scaling their businesses remotely. So it's called Remote CEOs.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I have not yet launched it. It's just taking too much of my time.
But you've already recorded the 6?
I did,
Oh,
but I
okay.
haven't released any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna ask you what it was about, but you just said what it was about.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's like us. That's
Yeah,
like,
no, I like that.
Yeah. So I've had like one episode where this one guy, he's a good friend of mine. He travels the world 365 days living in 5-star resorts. Like these are resorts.
I saw that. I saw you like posted something about him or something.
Yeah. It was like one photo on my Instagram, but like
Yeah.
he'll stay in places that cost like 10 grand, 20 grand a day
Yeah.
for free,
Yeah.
365 days a year.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Just knows how to play the game, or does he have a big following, or how does he do it?
No, so he runs his own Instagram marketing agency, and so he actually doesn't have his own personal account, but he has a network of Instagram famous people, and so cumulatively has over 300, 400 million followers through his network. And so what he'll do is he'll go to these resorts, film some content, and then release it out to all the accounts that he manages.
Wow.
So it'll go viral within like a couple days.
Yeah.
And it's huge value to those places.
Yeah.
So
And nobody knows who he is because he's not Instagram famous.
and he wants to be like that.
Yeah, he's just all behind the scenes.
It's great.
God, it's so great.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
What a cool life. Does he, how do you know him? You just met him on a random trip?
I met him. So I knew of him before I met him. And then we finally met in person in Bali at one of the retreats that I went there. So I went to this retreat called Unconventional Life. It's hosted by this amazing woman named Jules Schroeder. And when I was first told of this retreat, I was just thinking like, oh, it's like a business network. You know, people go there. People like myself are going to go there. We're just going to go and like hang out in Bali and network with each other. That's what I thought it was going to be. And within the first day, I see people who are butt naked jumping into the pool. And I'm like, what the fuck is this hippy dippy shit? Like, what did I just sign up for?
Yeah.
And it was a 5-day retreat. And by the 5th day, I was just like, I'm like really upset. But like, she's brought out all these different types of emotions out of me.
Yeah.
But I also feel like I went through this weird transformative phase in 5 days where, you know, I went from being so focused on like work and being really guarded and not really having much of a personal life to like, oh wait, like you need to grow as a person too, in order to propel forward in your business. You can't just be all business. You also have to like grow as a person too.
Sure.
So that's kind of what I went through in Bali last December.
That's cool. When you do those retreats, I'm not working for 5 days too?
I still check my emails.
Okay.
I get a little anxiety if I don't.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be like doing work for more than an hour or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That
good.
makes sense.
That's a weird thing though. Only till like recent, at least I've never felt comfortable on a vacation until like a year ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if I still like have like turned it all the way off. Even when we go to Hawaii, like I'm still like, because the time zone's so different. So I'll wake up at 4:30 and just be on for a couple
like,
hours and then.
Yeah, we went to South Carolina 2 years ago, right? 2 summers ago, and that was the first time where I did nothing for like 3 days straight. Because we would just go to the beach, and I have 5 nieces and a nephew. He's got his daughter, and so our whole family went out there, and we were all just playing at the beach and in and out, and I did nothing for 3 days. And that was the first time I was comfortable doing that. You know, I've been back for like holidays and stuff, and usually after like day 1, I'm like, all right, I need to do something like, you know, let me get on the computer, check something, or we need to be doing something on Instagram or whatever. But it was nice to just chill.
Yeah. That was me last March. So March 2018 was the first time that I ever went offline for 5 days straight. Great? Oh my gosh, I had so much anxiety leading up to it because I had signed up for a trip to Machu Picchu to do the Inca Trail with some friends. And I don't know why, when I signed up, I just thought like, oh, I can bring my laptop, I can do a hotspot. I didn't realize that there's going to be no reception in the Inca Trail. And so when I found that out, I was just like, oh my gosh, I gotta like make sure my people are good, and just like, you know, pulling all-nighters the week before just to make sure I have everything set up. And I was really worried while I was hiking, and then I get back to civilization. I opened my computer up, and I was just like, oh, like I don't have anything to do. Like everyone's got it taken care of. This is such a weird feeling.
It's a good feeling though.
It's a great feeling. Yeah. But it was a little difficult for me to get used to at first, 'cause I was like, oh, I feel kind of useless. Like,
Then it's
what do I do now?
Flips the switch on you. Like, what the fuck? You guys don't need me?
Yeah.
Do you ever wish that you guys weren't remote at times, like in the same office?
Oh yeah, we do. So last July, we actually had everybody here in Santa Monica for the entire month.
Oh, cool.
What was interesting was by week 3, I had some people tell me, they're like, I can't wait to go home so that I could be productive again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So for
They're just
them,
out of their routine and stuff.
yeah, so for them, like coming into the office at 9 and leaving at 5, like that was not their optimal efficient schedule. Like for them, like they prefer to, well, the ones that told me they prefer to work for 3-4 hours and take a break, go work out, have some food, and then work late at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
What made you want to do that? Bring everyone together.
It was just needed at that point. It was needed. Yeah, we had a lot of organization and processes that we had to like take care of. So we just brought everyone in and just like, okay, let's flush out X, Y, and Z while we're all in town together.
Yeah, isn't that crazy though when you do have to do that?
Yeah.
Like even for us, like we work from our houses. We don't even we've gone to like spaces before. And sometimes I feel like when I have to go to the space, even though I'm doing whatever the hell I want to do, I'm just like, all right, there's like, especially when we had other people working with us, and I was like, damn, we got to go to that place by 8 or whatever. And I was like, damn, I don't want to go today. Like I just want to like do whatever, or do it from the couch, or like there's that like I don't want to do it, and I don't want to not do something.
Right, especially living in LA, you just waste so much time going to an office. I mean, like. You take like 20-30 minutes to get ready, and then it's like another 30 minutes to drive, and then you have to find parking. It's just like, oh my god, it's a lot of
30 minutes back. And
well, if you're not in rush hour, it's like an
hour
back.
If you're
if you're in traffic,
you're looking at 2 hours just to around with the actual work.
And that takes up so much of your energy too. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like when I drive, I get stressed out. So like it just drains out so much of my energy.
I don't drive. I don't even have a car.
Yeah.
And my girl's got a car. So I'm like, now we have a car that we share, but she drives it.
Yeah.
Unless we're going together somewhere. But when we worked at that Control Collective back there, as that no one who's listening can see, but to the left of your screen, we would be able to walk there.
Yeah.
So it was easy for us. We've never had an office where we couldn't walk to. Even in Charlotte, when we had an office there,
Charlotte, we did it down there.
We would walk. There was a kind of like a half-mile walk, quarter-mile walk.
Always
so
walking.
Longer than most people
would
walk.
Time though to walk. I mean, get ready to walk and pack your stuff up and then unpack.
Yeah.
And then you forget your charger and then you have to walk.
Oh, the worst.
Dude, you know how many times you're like, all right, I'm done at noon today.
Yeah.
Like whenever this computer lasts.
Right. I got an hour and a half till
Yeah, that sucks. We would when we started doing that, he would always give me shit because we'd leave at I don't know when we'd leave 7 o'clock, 7 or 8 in the morning, and in Charlotte. In the summer, it's like 80 degrees already, 85 degrees. It's hot as shit, and I'd be sweating, and it's like, oh, I don't want to do this.
He gets
I would get so annoyed.
When
I'm like sweaty as shit. And it's 8 a.m. already. Like, damn it. Yeah. This is how I'm starting my day, like drenched in sweat. Not ideal.
Yeah. I have a rule of thumb where in LA, if I have to drive for more than 20 minutes, I'm taking Uber.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's like, fuck, I'm just going to be back to back, like hitting the brake, stop and go. I'd rather just be in the back.
Can't look at your phone.
Yeah, I'd rather just be in the back seat, hotspot on, doing some work.
That's great.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I was in North Hollywood. I was staying there, and I would come back to Playa Vista, which is 20 miles or something. But if you come at 6 a.m. or leave at 2:30, it's like 30 minutes, 25, 28, 30 minutes. It's not bad, but it definitely was an hour and a half sometimes, too. But in Uber, it never really bothered me. Yeah. Because I was just in the back, and I had my laptop up, so it's clear I'm doing something. Yeah. Some Uber drivers aren't great at acknowledging social cues, but
and they just keep talking. You.
There's a new silent did you see that?
No.
Like on Uber drivers, you can say like the silent feature or something. Like I don't want to talk.
Oh, interesting.
Which I think you can do. I just heard this again. You can do before you get in.
Yeah.
So they just kind of know.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to silence them like mid combo, and then you're like,
hey man, I'm working back here.
Yeah. Now some people still will never get that.
Yeah.
And they'll just like have to speak. And sometimes it's great to be able to have conversations. Like I've had great conversations in Ubers with Uber drivers, but sometimes you're like, all right, I'm working. Like shut the hell up. Like let me do my thing. I have my laptop up and I have one headphone in to try to not be rude so I can hear you. Right. But I'm clearly doing something. Chill out. Why do you think more people don't do the work from anywhere thing? Because we love it. You love it. Obviously, it works for lots of people. It's tough for some people.
I mean, it's definitely a new trend, but I think it's just that like leap of faith. People are scared. They're like, well, what happens if I quit my day job? Like, what happens if I decide to start my own company? Like, people are scared of not having that security blanket.
I wonder if that's always been a thing, or if that's new to the world. Because it's like, it seems like such an, like, I understand like the security of something,
Mm-hmm.
but like way back when they were just like hunting and like there was no security. Like you just
Right.
went out because you did it. I don't know. I feel like people are so afraid now,
Yeah.
where I don't feel like it used to be that way.
Yeah, and it's a lot of societal constraint. And what's funny is like I think more and more recently I've kind of become this almost like a life coach to some of my friends. Just again by
Sure.
accident, just because I have friends who are working late night at their jobs and they're just miserable
Mm-hmm.
and they're making a lot of money, but they hate what they do.
Yeah.
And I'm telling them, I was just like, you know, like, what is it about your life that makes you happy? And they can't even answer that question.
Oof.
Like, do you have a hobby? Well, not really. I just go work out. It's like, do you like working out? They're like, yeah, but like, if you didn't have your job, you didn't have your relationships, like, what makes you happy? And they don't have the answer for it.
That's an awful life to
Yeah.
live. But that's uber
So,
common.
so-
But it's just this
A
like
lot of people.
societal constraint. Like
Yeah.
they have to have a job, they have to be in a nice, healthy relationship, and then everything else is just like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Whereas like I feel like, well, you need to figure out like what purpose you have in life, like what makes you happy, and then build everything around that.
Right.
So
That should be the route you go. If you're working, if you're living 40 hours plus a week in a miserable place, why the hell would you do that?
or 100 hours. Oh,
Or 100, right?
Yeah.
40. That's why I said
Yeah.
40 plus.
yeah.
And I'm sure you've done shitty jobs. We've done shitty jobs before. I was a college football coach, or like a graduate assistant, coaching at small colleges, and we would work during the season. Me and one of the other GAs, like 100 hours a week, and I made $6,000 a year, and I slept on a couch, and that was awesome, you know. But at some point, I knew that wasn't going to be my life, and I wasn't going to do that for nothing. Like that made me happy at the time. It wouldn't make me happy now. Why more people should just like figure out, like you said, what makes you happy, and then figure that shit out. I was at brunch with my girl and all of her friends. Like this is like 2 months ago, and it was all her friends from an old job, and all of them still work there, and they all just sat and complained about it for like an hour.
A lot of
like,
jobs.
oh, they all hate the place. They hate it.
It's classic.
Hate the job, hate where they are, hate this person. Or, oh, did you see what happened with this guy and this? And it was like, leave. Like, why? I know they all make good money there and more money than they would at another place. But like, take a small pay cut and go somewhere where you're happy and you can do more. And your Saturday brunch isn't filled with Monday through Friday bullshit. You know, like you need to be able to shut that off, get over it, and have fun with life.
Right. And I think a lot of people can't see that. They're just like, okay, well, I've got, I got to do this for the next year or two of my life. And then I'm going to get a promotion and then I'm going to go do this. And,
Right.
Yeah.
They always see the 5 years out,
Yeah.
but when that 5 year hits them, they're thinking about the next 5 and they're still doing the same thing.
And they're still stuck in that same damn
Yeah.
thing they were talking about doing 5 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
But to them, like the other side is really scary because it's the unknown.
Yeah.
Sure.
Whereas for me, like being on the other side, it's like I see that and that's scary to me. Like
Yeah.
you're living your life just day by day, doing the same thing over and over again, and you're not happy now. Like I don't think you're gonna be happy 5 years from now doing the same thing.
Mhm.
Right?
Even with a little bit more money. Like
Right.
if you get a
Right.
promotion.
Right.
When you started doing your own thing, did you have any money in the bank? Like,
No
did
way.
You, none.
No.
Did you do sales yourself? Like, do you sell to the clients?
Yeah.
Is anybody else on the team?
We have one other salesperson.
Okay.
Yeah.
If someone were to start
Mhm.
a similar business
Yeah.
or similar business model, what would you say were like the key people to kind of like
Mm.
bring around you to start something like that remote wise?
I think it's really important to find a co-founder. So I started the company just on my own, and it's just tough. And if I can go back and do it all over again, I would have found someone that either does the production work or the sales. And because for me, I was doing both. And I got to a point last year when I decided, okay, I could either continue doing, the creative work and working with the clients, or I can do sales. And so I made the decision to do the sales part, which is great because my team's amazing. So they're able to take care of our clients. But initially starting out, it was hard because I'll go do sales and then I'll receive the projects and then I'll work on the projects. And then when I'm done, it's like, oh shit, I don't have any new projects coming in.
And you're doing the billing yourself. And
right. And then I'm living off of my savings, and
Yeah.
that's not a lot of savings. And it was, going up and down the cycle. That was really hard. Whereas now I can just like consistently focus on sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it does make
Wait,
sense.
so this is not part of what you just said at all. It just hit me.
Son of a bitch.
So
Tanner.
fintech,
Yeah.
Charlotte, is
Yeah.
that why? Because Charlotte's a huge hub for fintech?
Not really. So I actually moved to China to
what-
launch my first fintech product.
What is
Okay.
what? I don't know what that is. What's fintech?
Finance.
Oh,
Finance,
okay.
yeah.
I don't even speak the language.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a mobile app to get receipts at the point of sale digitally through your cell phone.
Oh,
And then it
okay.
aggregates all the consumer data, so you know where you're spending your money, and then you can get coupons from your frequently visited stores. So this was like 6 years ago. Yeah, this was 6 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it failed because of the tech, or
It
people not interested?
It was
or-
a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
So, so I was in China. I had just graduated from my master's. I had no prior like real work experience. I've done like internships and small entrepreneurial projects here and there, but this was like my first like real life experience. My co-founder got really sick, so he moved back to the Netherlands. I was there on a tourist visa. My visa expired. Couldn't secure like proper funding. The only funding that I was given was government funding, and they're like, well, if you want to take this money, you better find a Chinese co-founder as soon as possible
yeah.
to give 51% of your company
Oh, they
to.
had to have majority too. huh?
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just like, okay, this is clearly a sign that I'm just not meant to be here. And as much as I wanted to stay and plow through it, like I just didn't have the mental capacity at the time to just continue on. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, closing this chapter, moving on. Where to next? LA, great, let's go.
Oh, you just did it.
Yeah.
And then what'd you do when you got here? Was that
what-
when you worked at the agency?
No, when I got here, I was just bumming around.
Ah,
I was picking up every kind of freelance project. I did a little bit of like executive assistant work. I did some styling. I did content writing. I did website design, just like anything.
anything.
Yeah.
How are you finding gigs? So this is like 6 years ago, you said?
This was at this point, that's like 5 years ago. So I
Okay.
came to LA, actually maybe 2014. Yeah. Fall of 2014 is when I came to LA.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just finding people online. I have my website. I was just like reaching out. Yeah, basically what we're doing now too. Just reaching out to everybody online.
Is it like, are you looking at people doing a shitty job, or are you looking at people like requests for proposals or stuff like that?
Oh
or-
yeah. So at the time there was a platform called Odesk, which is
Uh-huh.
now called Upwork.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
just going through that day in, day out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, see, that world's a different world to me. Even when we were in that, I never dealt with any of that stuff. It was all
Yeah.
All
the
Timmy's
tech stuff,
world.
Yeah. But Elance, is Elance still around?
No,
Make it
they got acquired by Upwork as well.
yeah. And then another one that I would use, actually, how I found these developers that I still use for like referral. This guy in India, I sent out like Upwork, Elance, everything. LinkedIn too. Like I was just everywhere trying to find a developer, and this guy just stood out to me, and I still talk to him
Yeah.
every month.
Yeah.
But yeah, he won the bid.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's important to like, it takes a lot of time to find, well, for both sides, to find good freelancers on Upwork, and then also to find good jobs on there too. Like you just have to like filter a lot, because otherwise you're just going to end up with shitty clients and shitty freelancers.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I would imagine it's here in LA, like you probably have to like, there's probably, as soon as you put it up, there's probably 15 companies or individuals hitting you
Yeah.
up.
But a lot of it is just people from like offshore
Oh
dev
yeah, I can
teams.
see
that
Yeah.
makes
that.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that.
Have you gotten any work from social? Like, do you guys put effort in on social
On
to like
social-
acquire work? Yeah.
Like the DM or something.
Oh, no, we
Or
actually...
like anything through Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, any of that stuff?
No,
Nothing.
So LinkedIn, it's kind of interesting. So October 2017, I started posting some content on LinkedIn. I had to stop, but I posted a couple content on LinkedIn, and I think it was like the third or fourth one went completely viral, had over 20 million views. And from that one post, we've just like got so many amazing leads and clients.
Wow.
And I actually had to stop posting content because of all the inbound that was coming in. We just couldn't keep up with it.
Get out
Wow.
of here.
But there was like, I mean, a good chunk of it were people who were like, oh, can we work at Wandr? Another chunk were like, can I date you? And then so to actually
On
like
LinkedIn, they're doing this.
oh my god,
That's
yeah,
great.
Of course.
so to actually like find like good inbound, it took so much time, so I stopped posting on content.
Wow.
What was the one that went viral? Like, what were you saying?
What
So
made
it was a story about how the first 6 months, like going from freelancer to incorporating to Wandr, I put when I brought everybody in full time, I put everyone's salary on my personal credit card. Was in, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. But the point of the post wasn't that I was in debt. It was more so like I didn't want to lay off any of my team, and it was such a big financial struggle for me, but I didn't want to lay off anybody because, you know, the team is like what makes or breaks the company, and like it's important to invest into people. And so that was what really resonated with everybody, and overnight just blew up.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did like any big sites post it, or big LinkedIn platform like creators post it, or that people just saw, shared?
Yeah, there was.
Wow.
I want to say there was about 4,000 shares.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot. And what's funny was I found so many people who actually copied and pasted that exact story as their own.
Really?
And I
that's
reported it to
ridiculous.
LinkedIn, and they ended up not taking them down.
So they just did they write it, or did they make a video and they're speaking to a camera?
No, they just
saying-
like literally copy, like, word for word, paste. And then their stories would go viral. But then
so it was just it was just typed out. There was no video or a picture with it.
no, it was just like a typed out long form content.
People are so gross.
I know. But it was just kind of funny because like there was this one Indian dude who he posted it word for word, took credit for it. I think he got like, he had over like 1,000 comments on his of, you know, people praising him. And then I DM'd him. I was like, hey, like, can you take this down, or at least like give me credit for it? And he's just like, well, I made you famous in India. And it's just like, you didn't even credit me.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
But I guess people do that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll see people just like say different messages in the same thing.
Right.
Like for them to do what you did is, I mean, if you to copy and paste a story like that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just the world we live in. Like people just do that shit all the time.
Yeah.
And they pretend like that's theirs.
Right. And I think authenticity is just so important nowadays. You know, not just like in the stories that you're telling, but just like, well, I guess, yeah, it is. It's just like stories that you're telling. Like, is it coming from you, or are you just like copy pasting? I think it's, and people want to be able to relate. And I think that was also the reason why that story went viral, was because it wasn't me talking about my success and saying like, oh, like, look how much money I've made. It was more like, here is a struggle. Like, this is real life of an entrepreneur. It's not glamorous. It's really fucking hard. And that type of authenticity is what really resonated with people.
Sure. I think it's so rare too. That's probably why it's extra.
Yeah, and it goes back to that fear. Like, people don't want to talk about failure because they fear judgment. They fear, you know, they're disappointing their friends and family. But what they don't realize is people relate to failure. You know, people relate to failure, and not so much success.
Everybody fails.
Everybody fails. Yeah.
And not everyone succeeds. I mean, you succeed at little things maybe, but
Yeah.
to that level, yeah.
But it's a beautiful thing, because when you fail, that's where your greatest lessons come from. And I know that sounds so cheesy, but it's true.
Yeah, that seems to be true. I'm trying to like think like our biggest failures, things we've done. I guess you always learn it from shit. Big failures, small failures, winning, successes. You're still learning something, hopefully. I mean, I don't know how you can't really. Feel me, Timmy?
Dude, I feel you. I feel you.
Anything else here?
No.
This was phenomenal.
It's interesting,
yeah. You know what it does? It makes me want to travel.
Yeah, definitely. Fucking Bali, man.
Yeah.
December.
So we're
2019, we're going to Bali.
Timmy and I are going to Chicago next week.
Yeah.
Then we're going to Denver.
And then maybe
that's it.
Vegas.
Maybe Vegas in July.
That's an awesome itinerary.
They're all work
they're
related, but I mean,
well,
it's
no, they're
fun.
not.
Yeah.
Chicago. So we're going to Chicago.
I guess
We're doing.
Denver's not.
We have a coffee company, so we're doing like a meet and greet with a UFC athlete
Nice.
in Chicago,
Mhm.
and then I have a baby shower. Our second baby shower is in Denver. That's where she's from. Her family's there. So Tim and his family are going to meet and hang out. It's his first time there, and then Vegas would be some work stuff,
Nice.
and then I'm shutting it down because we could have a baby anytime after that.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah, yeah, exciting. And then we're gonna start traveling. I don't think she's been to Bali, but I know she wants to.
You guys should also go to Colombia too.
Oh, I'm in.
Colombia.
I'm in.
Coffee, yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
The coffee regions there, it's so beautiful. They've got the world's tallest palm trees. It's amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll have to get an itinerary from
You know-
you when we go.
Yeah, right.
Hey,
Suggestions?
what should we go to see?
I got my passport like a year and a half ago
Like for the first time.
for the first time at
What?
33 or whatever I was at the time.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and I've been to the Bahamas as like a ninth grader or something. Like as a family trip, we went on like a cruise there, and then I'd been to Toronto as a young kid, and then in college I went to college like an hour south of Detroit, and so you could go across the border and like
Yeah.
gamble and drink at 19. So I would do that, but you didn't need a passport then.
Oh, interesting.
And then I just never did.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't either want to, or there was, you know, I didn't make any money from 24 to 28.
Right.
You know, so I wasn't traveling at those times. And then I just felt like, all right, I'm going to get this passport and I'm going to go somewhere. Haven't really gone international yet. Although we had partners in Japan and England, and we were trying to
Yeah.
go and just didn't work out as far as like traveling there.
Well, you better put that passport to use.
We're doing it well, next year, maybe later this year. I was trying to get my mom to go on a trip. I said, "Where do you want to go? Anywhere?" And she was like, "I don't know what she said. Not Iceland. I think she wanted to go."
So beautiful there.
So we'll see. Maybe you can go too, Timmy.
Well, I'm not invited.
No, you're not. You
What
weren't invited.
the fuck?
It was me and my mother and
What
Liv.
the fuck?
Wait,
Jenny-
aren't you guys brothers?
We are
Yeah.
brothers.
Okay.
Yeah, but apparently I'm not invited to family vacation.
It wasn't
now.
a family vacation. It was a 3 vacation. But now we've got a 3.5 now of us. All right, Jenny. We appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.